So many things we used to take for granted are now off limits, from hugging old friends to going to the mall. COVID-19 has changed how we shop. Congregating in malls to shop or just to hang out seems a long way off right now. Even before the pandemic was declared, many were struggling to survive. Not all of them will, and those that do are in for some big changes. Sean O'Shea explains.
Well, I don't think that they're going to be irrelevant, but I definitely think that they're going to be changing.
We're going to see a big rethink in terms of what a quote-unquote shopping center really is, and if it's even legitimate to call it a shopping center anymore.
Or if they had not great reason to go 4 months ago, they're going to have much less reason to go in 4 months or by 2021.
That trip to the mall, when it's possible, may not be the same. Some Canadians may decide never to go back there, and that may affect thousands of lives.
We are going to have a crisis in the commercial real estate market. There's no way to get around it or candy coat it.
The cost to people who work these malls of commerce could be enormous, according to futurist Doug Stevens. Clients pay him to look down the retail road, and the view isn't good.
We could be facing a retail refugee crisis. In fact, it is the largest employer in the country, the retail and hospitality industries.
The COVID-19 pandemic has left shopping malls in much of the country closed, including in Ontario.
To get people back to the malls, they will need to really convince people that they're safe and that there's something to go for.
That sense of purpose at retail malls has been flagging for years, according to journalist Marina Strauss. She spent 40 years as a reporter at the Globe and Mail, the last 20 covering the retail sector.
The activities became more blah. It became easier to shop online.
Blah is a far cry from how shopping malls were conceived back in the 50s.
Now let's see just how shopping can be fun, real fun, at this modern and convenient shopping center.
One of the first malls, Hillsdale, built in San Mateo, California. It was 1956.
Yes, shopping is fun at Hillsdale. And because it is, we believe that people have come to know us in more ways than one.
60 years ago, the one-stop shopping mall retailers considered stay-at-home suburban mothers their target audience.
And to give mother a little more freedom for her shopping.
Original vision of it back in the 50s, that it was really about a place where community came together and services were clustered together.
Shopping malls were typically anchored by a large department store tenant. In the U.S., that meant stores like Macy's.
At Eaton's, you'll always find the look that's right for you.
Look, there it is. It's perfect.
And in Canada, names like Eaton's.
Oh, yeah. Richard will love it.
Eaton's collapsed in debt 2 decades ago. Sears, which bought it, went out of business 2 years ago. And 118-year-old J.C. Penney, one of the oldest American department stores, filed for bankruptcy just 2 weeks ago. COVID-19 didn't create the problems faced by the retail industry. They've faced failure after failure for decades. But the pandemic is speeding up the pace of the shopping mall's evolution.
What COVID-19 is really doing is it's pushing the retail industry out of the industrial age of retail and into the digital age of retail. And that's going to be really painful, not just for some brands, but it'll be painful for consumers as well, just in terms of the changing shopping habits that are going to be required.
It's one thing to line up in a pandemic for necessities like groceries, but even for essentials and most everything else, there's no longer much need.
The internet is the biggest big box store in the world. Anything I want is in that store 24 hours a day.
Amazon feeds a rising consumer demand for choice and speed. No driving to a shopping center, the product comes to you. So who even needs the shopping mall?
We are going to see stores close. We are going to see more dark spaces in malls. That's not going to attract more people either.
When retailers really begin closing stores, as we suspect they will and have already begun to do so, and when they really start rethinking the size of the footprint and saying, could we take a 200,000 square foot store down to 50,000 square feet? we're going to see a real crisis in terms of who now takes those spaces.
While Ontario has yet to reopen malls, British Columbia relaxed restrictions and gave the green light. Even so,
it's great if people feel comfortable, but not me.
Alberta's allowed malls to reopen too, but initially at least, there's not that much appetite for shopping.
We could have a lot of consumers that are in much, much worse financial health than they were only 6 months ago.
Meaning mall stores may reopen, but shoppers won't automatically show up. Stores that do survive may not need as much space as they had, opting instead to focus strictly on their brand, not huge footprints with stock on hand.
It may just be a showroom that people come in and see it and be able to shop it, and the product is shipped to them at a separate time.
Smaller spaces, cheaper to rent, fewer staff, and less money needed to pay them. The future may be worse for retailers occupying aging malls in smaller communities where there's little allure.
And it was just crowds of people and the same old. Malls all look the same.
Their space could give way to new users, recreational and residential, as online shopping, driven by a pandemic, alters the way we sell and buy.
I don't predict a death at all of the shopping center. I think it is, what will it become?
We will get beyond the health crisis. We will repair the economic damage. And my only hope is that we find that in actual fact, what the industry did was not, it didn't die, it just shed its skin. It just shed about 100 years of old legacy retailers, and that we have new, exciting retailers that are coming into a market that might arguably have a lot lower real estate prices to allow them into it.